maybe bogey avoidance, strokes gained around the green because they're going to have to cut those dog legs and the greens are so small. What are you feeling, Adam?
Yeah, I always like strokes gained approach. It's not particularly tough around these greens, so I don't think you have to be like a super skilled short game player to succeed around the green and save some pars. But if you're getting on a roll, hitting a lot of fairways and greens, those are the kind of guys that I'm looking for. So strokes gained ball striking, strokes gained approach, and I do like bogey avoidance as you mentioned as well. Those are the ones I'm keen on this week.
All right, so what do we have here? Who won it last year?
Justin Rose, I'm seeing, yes?
I believe you are correct.
Looks like he shot a 66, 64, 66, 64 to take it down last year.
Those are decent numbers.
Yeah,
bad.
Those are nice.
Not bad. So he hasn't been great this year. How do you feel about his form coming in?
With the exception of his victory, he's really been kind of subpar by his standards. Didn't play great over the weekend last week. God, I played a lot of him last week, and I was like, Saturday he had gotten back to 3 under, made a bomb, and I'm like, all right, Rose is hanging in there, and then I think he was like 10 or 11 over the rest of the way, which was nice. No, I'm actually not loving some J Rose this week. How you liking him, Mark?
I'm not. I'm with you. I don't think he's playing very well. Even if the course lines up for him and he won it last year, I'm not feeling him. And the other one who has great course history here, but I'm just unsure of still, maybe you can change my mind, is Jordan Spieth. Now, he's had 2 seconds and a first in the last 4 years at this course. So I don't know. He played a little better this weekend, but he still doesn't look right.
No, I'm with you. He gained over 10 strokes putting last week, which is the most of his career. And if you look back to his, when he was succeeding, winning majors back in his heyday in 15 and 16, like that's what he did. He made everything, but that's not sustainable, as we've talked about many times on this show. I think at his price, especially, he's got to finish like top 10, and I just, if not top 5. So I don't expect him to repeat the crazy performance he had last week on the greens. So I'm off Mr. Spieth. I would take any of like the 4 or 5 guys below him over Spieth at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. He just has such a good course history. That's all.
Man, what do you think about Ricky Fowler here? I mean, he's over 10K, obviously, because there's not the big names in this tournament as there has been. But he missed the cut last week, right?
No, he made the cut. He just didn't play very well on the weekend.
I just kind of trying to remember. I know he was on my squad and he sucked. So
I think he was like 1 or 2 under maybe after a couple rounds, and then totally fell off on the weekend, like many did.
Right. So of that high-priced group, I mean, do you think his ownership level is going to be a little lower, and do you like him in your 10K plus spot? Because I got a little burned by him last week, but I tend to have what I like to call, when I've explained before, flop lag, where you're on a guy a week too early. So is this a week? Do I come back to him?
I'm not personally. I don't know. I'm just not sure how up he's going to get for this event, but Ricky's talented. In a given week, he could play well. I just don't think the course sets up all that well for him. He's not particularly straight off the tee. His approach game has been a little off by his standards. I don't know. I'm not crazy about him this week.
Is there anybody up here, Adam? Is Rahm the only one? I don't know. I'm not a fan of Xander either in this top range.
Yeah, I don't mind Xander. I like Rahm a lot, and then ducking just below the 10K range. I think this course sets up perfectly for Molinari. He actually hit it pretty well last week. The course, I think, just fits him to a tee. He had an off week putting last week. I think that could definitely turn around pretty quickly. And that's pretty much who I'm targeting up top. Going all in on Mr. Rahm to bounce back from last week's missed cut, and then Molinari down there just below 10K.
Well, you know that I play pretty much strictly based on performance from 2000 to 2003. So I think Sergio Garcia is going to be my main target this week.
It's a bold strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of liking Jim Furyk.
How can you not? I mean, how can you not like Jim Furyk?
I'm off the Jim Furyk train. I wrote it while it was hot, and it's off the rails, and it's time to abandon ship, boys.
You still on the Poulter train, or did that destroy you last week?
What's that?
Are you still on the Ian Poulter train, or did he get you off that train as well last week?
No, look, I like Ian Poulter. The question that you have to ask yourself here is, this inflated price tag because of this field, something that you want to pay, and just going through some type of roster construction, I think it's viable. At first glance, I was a little bit disgusted with the price, but some of these other guys up top, you're just not really, like you said, really interested. I did like Molinari. I was very glad to hear you say that, because that was the guy that I was most interested in. But I think I can go back to some of my other favorites and maybe, fit Poulter in there and stay on brand, but it won't be Mr. Jim Furyk. I'm all out. I'm all out until he shows me that he's got it again. I think he played his best golf so far this year, and it's not coming back.
Yeah, probably not right away. I'm with you there. We dipping down below Molinari in the 9K range?
All right. Well, yeah, I think we've pretty much we've covered the top end here. So let's continue on through these guys. I have a couple questions. Am I back on the Kiz?
Yeah, Kiz has good course history here. He won here a couple of years ago. At 9,200, though, it's like Chris was just mentioning. Like the prices are so inflated right now. He's got to finish, at least near the top 10 and DraftKings scoring to pay off his $9,200 salary. And there's a few guys below him that I think have just as good, if not better, chance of doing that. I don't know.
What I'm seeing here in the history of Mr. Kisner is it's been 6 months since he's finished above in a top 20 position, and he hasn't finished in top 20 in 6 months. That's ugly.
I think with the exception of the match play, he did win the match play.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's short play events, absolutely. I don't know. I can't get on that train for 9,200. I would more likely go to, not that I will, because I won't, but I'd be more likely to go to Poulter over Kisner. I think he's got more win equity.
And the guy right above Kisner, Paul Casey.
Yeah. Casey's the play that I think is going to be very, very highly owned this week. I'll be curious to see what it's looking like tonight late. Mark, do you happen to have ownership projections pulled up? Because I think Casey's going to be way, way high owned.
No, but just give me a minute here.
Yeah, no worries. Bryson's the guy that I can't quite put my finger on this week. You guys know I like Bryson overall. He's been struggling the last couple of weeks, but he's one of those guys that if he finds something on the range and his putting's even decent, he could contend in a heartbeat. At a course like this, where it's all about angles and playing to the proper side of the fairway to get your angle to the pin and hitting these dog legs, I think it sets up for kind of the strategic, the thinking man's type of game, and he's definitely got that. If he's on, I think Bryson could contend.
Chris, you like anybody else in this 9,000 range? What about Louis?
No, I don't think so. No, I think Molinari is my main target. Poulter, I do like, given just the lack of interest in paying for a lot of these guys. Just he's going to be consistent. He's going to get up there. It's just you're really hoping that if you're playing him, that he's got that top 10 equity, or some of these other guys that are up top that you don't feel crazy about don't perform very well. I think I'm gonna stay on brand, and I've got some interest in the low 8,000s and into the 7s. But that's kind of where my interest lies.
So dipping just below 9,000, it looks like Kokrak is out for the week. So, show favorite.
Just really quick. Paul Casey's blowing everybody away on ownership. He's at 22% right now.
Boy, I'm sorry, but that's auto fade range for me. I'm gonna pivot to my boy Bryson. That just made my mind up. Let's do it. Let's go all in on Bryson.
Yeah, Bryson's only 8%.
Yeah, let's do it. I will take my chances. Yeah, it's kind of sad that Kokrak's out. I was looking forward to fading him when everybody else was back on him again. It's my heart a little bit.
All right.
He's been playing great, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Not at that price.
So a guy who loves this course, been here almost 20 times, Rory Sabatini, right at 88.
It's hard not to like the guy. I mean, he hasn't finished outside the top 40 in his last 8 events, I think, since early February.
And he won here over 10 years ago, so he's automatically on my radar.
Hey, you know what? It's been the last year plus has really been about those guys getting victories after long gaps. Paul Casey, as we just mentioned. I don't think, Woodland got his at Phoenix. There's been a bunch of guys that have gotten their first victory in years and years. So maybe he continues that trend. Maybe it's the week for the other Rory to step up to the front of the pack. I do not hate it. Mark, what's his ownership looking like? Sabatini.
Rory Sabatini. 11.
Danger. You could start with Sabatini and Molinari and get a nice little Italian-sounding team going, although that's probably where it ends.
Well, Emiliano.
Emiliano.
I could say that with an Italian accent.
Is Dominic Bazzelli playing this week? That's another one that could be in there. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're reading right out of my book here so far. I don't
Yes. Dominic Bazzelli.
calling me out.
That's 4. Anaban Lakieri. There's another one for you.
Isn't he Indian?
Doesn't matter. You can make it sound Italian, just like you can with Rio, who's Argentinian.
Yeah. Affy Barnred.
If you can make that sound Italian, you got talents.
I love it. All right, continuing down this 8,000 course, a guy we talked a lot about in the last week, Scott Piercy.
Can't jump back on him. I think a lot of people will. He looked great coming into the PGA and acquitted himself fairly nicely with a 41st place finish. I think he played his best golf leading up to and during the Byron Nelson. I'm jumping off of Piercy, but I do like Matty Fitz just below him.
I mean, hold on, but Piercy here is a guy who is top 10 in greens and regulation. He's got 2 top 3 finishes in the last 4 starts at Colonial. Can we ignore that?
It's tough too. For me, it's more of an ownership thing. I just think the pedigree of Matt Fitzpatrick just below him makes a great pivot that I just can't ignore. I would expect him to be somewhere in the 12 to 15% range in most GPPs.
Of Piercy? What you got, Mark? What you got on Piercy?
On ownership?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was grabbing a beer. Sorry.
Well, you're the only one drinking, so you got to help us out here.
Yeah. Carry us all.
Piercy, 15%.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Pretty high. I love the Chesticle, though. Ches Revius at 8,300. I'm all over that this week.
13%.
All right, I'll take that. I mean, slightly lower ownership, but what's Matty Fitz looking like? Because he's the pivot play I love off of Piercy.
Only 10.
Yeah. Good enough. I'll take it.
Matty All right. Anybody else in the 8,000 range that anybody wants to chit-chat about here?
I know who Chris wants to talk about.